In this video, we're going to be using the StudentUTest database. Now, this database is a database made up of all the things that have been inserted on a previous activity. So these were manual inserts, and we're going to go through, initially we're going to go through and test and see if there were any errors made. But we want to make sure that we're using the right database. So we're going to start off with a query that's going to use some new functions that we haven't used before. And this is where we're going to test the user number, so that user ID. And remember that for this scenario, it starts with SU followed by 7 numeric digits. And so we want to test to make sure all of them are correct. Now, the database itself would have made sure that they were a character that was no longer than 9 characters. It would have put a limit on the 9 characters. It would have allowed shorter ones but not longer ones. But it wouldn't have cared if there was S's or U's or numbers. None of those mattered. So we have several things here we want to test. So first we want to make sure we're including the right things. We want user ID first name and last name. So we'll do user ID first name, last name, and this is going to come from user 1, and in the where part we're going to put the parts that we are concerned about, and here we're looking for errors, so we're going to test when they're wrong. So we could do the SU using like, but let's go ahead and use our new function SUBSTRING. This is a built-in function by the system, and it expects an expression. What we're going to give it is the user ID, and then the next thing it wants is which character to start on. We want it to start on character 1. This is a 1-based beginning, and then how many characters to include in the substring, and we want to include 2. And once we get that substring, those first 2 characters in user ID, we want to see if they're equal to SU. And it's a problem when they're not equal to that. So remember, we're looking for the problem, so we'll do the not equal. So there's that fun database, not equal. So this is one of the problems it can be, or it could be that the second part of the substring is not 7 characters long. So that second part is, we're still going to be building it on user ID is going to be the string, but we're going to start on character number 3, and we're going to go for 7 characters long. And now we want to know if what we want to know about this string is its length. So we're going to use this function len, and then inside that you put an expression, and here the expression is going to be that substring. So what's the length of that substring? Well, we want to check it's a problem if it's not equal to 7, because that's how long we expect that substring to be. Or the last thing we want to test is that same substring, but we want to say, is it numeric? We want to say, boy, give us this substring. Does it have characters in it? Is there something wrong in there? So what we need is this same substring, that last 7 digits, and we're going to test them to see if they're numeric. Now, ISNUMERIC returns a 1 if it's true that the value in there is numeric. It returns a 0 if it's false. And it's a problem for us if it's not 1, right? So we can say if it's not 1, or we could say if it's equal to 0. Either of those will tell us the same thing, that it'll be a problem if it's not numeric. So let's go ahead and run that and see what happens. And I misspelled numeric. It complains about things like that. And there we go. We found several where it didn't follow the rule. So here's our first test to find errors from those individual entries, from manually entering those.